Hey everyone, it's Isaac here, back with another video, and in today's video I will be answering a question that I get quite often, and that is, how do you stream to your YouTube channel? For those of you who do not normally watch my channel, I make typing videos. I type decently fast. I use the platform called nitrotype.com, and it definitely is geared towards younger players, just for the graphics, but it's also a fantastic website to compete on against other people that type your speed. So if you ever have any questions about typing, how to get better at it, and especially in this digital world, it's a good thing to get better at. Definitely go check out my other videos. Without further ado, let's get into the basics. So first thing is first, you are going to want to know what operating system that you are using. If you don't know this, then it's really easy to find out. If you're using Windows, congratulations, you can use basically all the advice I'm telling you to use in this video. Windows is just a little Windows symbol down in that corner, taskbar down here, the time should be over here, and all that good stuff. If you're on Mac, congratulations, you can use the software I have in mind. If you're on Mac, your computer will have like an Apple logo on it. It should have like a little Apple logo up here, at least the one that I've ever used. They've all had it up there. I don't know, let me know in the comments if that's different. If you're using a Chromebook, however, that uses Chrome OS, and basically on the outside of your laptop it should say Chromebook on it or Chrome on it, and then Chrome OS looks kind of like Windows, but it's all centered here, and there's like a Chrome icon in the very middle. In Windows 11, I guess you could technically get it there, but there'll also be a Windows symbol. So if you're using Chromebook, unfortunately you won't be able to use the exact advice I have for today's video. If you're using a Chromebook, go to restream.io, set up an account, and you can stream from there. It'll be a little laggy if you have a Chromebook because they're not very fast, but it should work. Now, let's get on to your network. You need to go to speedtest.net, run an internet speed test. You don't need to worry about your download speed very much. Just look at your ping and your upload. If your ping is below 100 and your upload is about 1 or above, then you can stream to YouTube. If it's below 1, if your upload speed is below 1 megabit per second, and that will be abbreviated capital M and then lowercase bps. If it's like 0.5 to 1, you can stream. You'll probably just have some issues, and if it's below 0.5, you just can't live stream. It just probably won't work very well at all. You'd have to really be turning the resolution down to pretty much unreadable levels of badness. So once we have that all done, remember those numbers, write them down somewhere, because some of that can be hard to remember for people who maybe don't know a ton about just internet networking and stuff. So remember, look at the ping, look at the upload speed, and before we even get started, something that you need to know is I recommend using some sort of audio device. I know a lot of the audience of my normal channel, if they stream, a lot of them actually don't use audio devices, and on NitroType streaming you can get away with that. But if you're streaming any game or just whatever you want to do, I recommend having audio. Even if you're streaming NitroType, again, if you're part of my normal audience, it's just better to use a microphone. It just is. You can talk with your chat. It's just better, and I don't recommend trying to stream without it. You can. I've watched several streams that I found enjoyable that just didn't have any audio from the person that was actually running the stream. But I still do recommend audio if you can help it. If you have a laptop, you should have a microphone built into it somewhere. I think most of them do. Some of the laptops actually don't, but most every one of them will. You have a desktop, that's where you have to get worried about, like, you may not have a microphone because unless your monitor has one built into it, and some monitors do, but rarely any do. If you're really looking for a cheap microphone solution, just buy like a cheap headset that has a microphone built into it for like 15-20 bucks. I don't know exactly how much they are, but I know they're pretty cheap. I have the HyperX SoloCast microphone. That is on a microphone stand altogether. That solution probably cost me about 65 bucks. So not too bad. And I have a nice audio setup. So now that we have that out of the way, you're going to want to go to your YouTube studio, and if you're YouTube, if you upload videos to YouTube, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't have a YouTube channel yet, this is not the video for you. Go pause this video, go watch a video on how to make a YouTube channel. It's very simple and straightforward. Then come back to this video and learn how to stream. So as you can see, this is my YouTube studio, at least as of now. I'm really close to 300 subscribers, so if you wouldn't mind tossing me a subscribe and a like, that would be very appreciated. And then instead of hitting upload like you normally would, hit go live. Alright, and we are here at the live streaming page. You're going to want to go to your stream settings, and I'm not actually going to go there, I don't want to reveal anything. Then hit copy the stream key. And you can look at it, you don't have to look at it, you don't even have to know what it is, just hit copy, there will be a button for it. And then here's where things get a little interesting. I recommend using OBS. I know a lot of people think it's very complicated. It's this program right here. I know that looks kind of complicated, and I have a simple OBS window compared to a lot of people. But essentially, you want to get OBS, set it up. There are plenty of really good videos on how to set it up, but essentially you want to, set up your screen capture and your microphone. I'll get to how to set up a stream in a second. Before you even set up a scene, you want to go to your settings, go to stream, and if you're using YouTube, you can go to their primary server here, just YouTube, I'm really bad at this, RTMPS. Then you can go to your primary YouTube ingest server. You don't have to use the primary. I might actually do a test stream using the backup one, because primary lately has been giving me some drop frames. It normally never used to do that, so I'm just trying to see if that would fix it. Now you can either connect an account or you can use a stream key. Again, I recommend using a stream key. Even though this is advanced, it's actually simpler. You basically hit this, and I'm not going to do that. Copy in your stream key, hit apply, and then you're good to go. So now that you have your stream key in, now we're going to get into the whole settings, what you want to do. But before we do that, I'm going to talk about how to set up a scene, because you can't even do any of that if you don't have a scene. Well, you could, but I'm just going to add a new scene. You do that by going over here to scenes, hitting the plus button, okay, and we're going to rename this to test scene for video. We're going to go here. Now, I'd recommend if you're streaming a game, adding game capture. You do that by going here. Where is it? Right there, game capture, and then you can select what game. I use display capture, so not window capture, but display capture. And we'll just add existing stream capture, but normally you can just, it'll, just let you choose whatever. Hit OK, boom, you've got my screen here, and I know you guys couldn't see my screen there for a second, but now we have a new screen set up. So you got my normal video recording scene, this one, there's no difference. So now, if you want to add desktop audio, which I recommend doing if you want to add background music, and what I normally do is I'll actually record on OBS like a live stream of like lo-fi music, and then I'll play it through my media player. You probably want to add a webcam if you have one. For me, when I do my typing content, let me adjust my microphone, my webcam, hit this, and hit, not the audio output device, it's in here somewhere, video capture device. And I'm going to add my webcam, add existing webcam, okay. And as you can see, got my script here on like one of these little erasable boards. And we got my keyboard and mouse, and this is super small, so I'm gonna make it bigger. And there, and then just have it there. And that's basically all I need for a typing stream. We're actually gonna get rid of this webcam because we don't need it. That's all you need to do. So we're gonna go back to my video recording scene because I don't need this. We're gonna go to settings. And now that you have your stream key inputted, you can go to output. Go to advanced mode. It's way better in advanced mode, just do it. You don't actually need, I used to stream on simple mode for a really long time, but I recommend advanced mode, it gives you more settings. Now I recommend for pretty much everybody use X264. I have a gaming laptop with an RTX graphics card. I can use the NVENC encoder. I normally just use X264. It's just, I find it easier. It also, the file size is a little smaller, so it's a little bit easier on your internet connection. But with that being said, X264, I do 720p. Now here's where you determine your resolution and frame rate. Remember that upload speed? If it's 1 megabit per second up, you can stream 360p at about 30 FPS with a bitrate of about 500 to 1000 kilobits per second. Try different things, run private streams, those are really easy to set up. You can literally just go to edit. There's a button here in the YouTube studio, just hit edit, and then you can select what you want it, then hit apply. It's good to go. I do multiple test streams probably every few weeks just to test new settings, constantly experimenting to try to get better quality for the same bitrate. So if you have an upload of 1, do 360p, 30 FPS, between 500 and 1000 kilobits per second. Now, when you're doing your upload speed test, I should have mentioned this earlier, do it to multiple servers. Don't just do it to one. You just literally click on the name of the server, and you can choose any server. Average them, whatever. You might get a few outliers, that's okay. Just make sure that you're getting a decent idea of what your upload speed actually is. Now, keep in mind that just because your upload speed to a few servers that are local is something, doesn't mean it's going to be the same to your YouTube server. The upload to the uploading server for videos seems to be about what my normal internet upload is, which is 4 megabits per second. However, to the streaming service, I have a hard time getting above 2. So keep that in mind. Now, if you have an upload of 1.5, then you can probably get away with 480p streaming so long as you're like the only one on the network when you're streaming. Now keep in mind, you can't even go up to 60 FPS until you get to 720p, so don't even try until you get to 720p. So again, 480p, bitrate of 1000 to 1500 kilobits per second. And I recommend just doing CBR for all of it, like this thing right here. Use CBR. It's just, I find it to be really stable, a little easier on my network. Now, if you have an upload of 2, I don't actually recommend going to 720p 30 FPS yet. Stick to 480p, just keep it at 1500. You can try to get it up closer to 2 if you want to, but again, like I said, you'll probably have some drop frames because your upload speed isn't going to be the exact same thing from your local servers to your YouTube servers. Now, if you have an upload of 3, you can actually do 720p 30 FPS at a bitrate of about 2000 kilobits per second. I find that works for me. Again, if you have an upload of 4, stick to 720p 30 FPS. You can try to go up to 2500. I've tried that before, and it seems to be just a little bit unstable for my liking. You know, consider that I've got 4 other people on the network most of the time. Those are my other 4 family members, and therefore, because I don't have my own private internet connection, I have to share it with them. I have to go with a lower bitrate. But 2000 kilobits per second, 30 FPS for Nitro type streams works fantastically. If you're doing a game, you definitely want it to be more than 2000. It's just a little bit more motion that you have to capture. Keep in mind that not all stream resolution is equal. You can have 1080p that'll look worse than 720p if your 1080p bitrate is way too low. Or you can have 720p that looks really bad compared to 480p, although I haven't really found that. I can max out my 480p bitrate and it still won't look as good as 720p, so there definitely is some point to where you can notice that quality may be better or worse. Typically that jump is from 480p to 720p. I noticed normally 720p to 1080p is definitely a difference, but not as much as one compared to 480p to 720p. So back to the bit rates. If you have an upload of 5, you can do 720p 60 FPS at about 3500 kilobits per second is what I've heard generally works for most people. 3500 to 4000. Again, I don't stream at that resolution, but that's what I've seen just from my research. And then if you have an upload of 6 or above, you can probably do 1080p 30 FPS at about 5000 kilobits per second. Again, that's pushing it a little bit. I try to keep half of my upload. So if my upload's 10, I'm only going to stream at 5000. If my upload's 20, I'll probably not go any higher than 10,000. You know what I mean? But if you have a wired internet connection, unlike me, then you can probably push it a little closer to what your upload actually is. And then again, if you have anything above 7, you can probably do 1080p 60 FPS. I know Twitch will let you stream at 1080p 60 FPS for 6,000, so I know it's possible 7,000 with YouTube. I've never actually tried it. Again, my internet's not fast enough for that. And if it's above 10, you can actually just max it out. I think YouTube's max is 51,000. So keep that in mind. I can actually check that right now for you. You can actually see, go to stream, max 51,000. So you can stream pretty high quality to YouTube if you really wanted to, but maybe that's just if you're having multiple video feeds going on. I don't know. Go back to your output. And then here we get to the CPU settings. So again, it's your X264. This is for X264, not NVENC. Keyframe interval. I generally use 2. Everyone that I know uses 2. That may be different depending on who you're talking to, but I always use 2 and that seems to work. CPU usage preset, higher is less CPU, so ultra fast is actually the easiest to run and placebo is the hardest to run. I do faster for streaming, and for recording I do fast, but this isn't a video about recording, it's about streaming. Profile and tune, I don't do anything to that, and I don't do anything to this. Let me know in the comments if I should do something with either one of these, I don't know. For your audio, the way to set up the bitrate is to select the audio track, and I typically use audio track 1 for streaming. Go to audio, 128. You can use 128. YouTube doesn't let you go above 160 though, and I just don't notice a difference between 128 and 160. That there is no real difference for me. Maybe if you're, used to having super high quality audio, you could probably notice it, but I don't. Go to audio tab. Don't have to mess with any of this. Video. The FPS here is going to determine what your stream FPS is. So make sure that this is either 30 or 60. And if you're doing a game, doing it at a lower resolution at a higher frame rate will probably be more beneficial. So maybe if you have the choice between 1080p 30 FPS or 720p 60 FPS, definitely go for the 720p 60 FPS. It'll look way better. I actually think 720p 60 FPS is the sweet spot for most streaming. If you have the internet for 1080p 60 FPS and your computer can run it, go ahead and do that. For hotkeys, you don't have to mess with these in advanced. Make sure that it's binded to whatever IP, so I have mine binded to my Ethernet, my Netgear router's IP and the Ethernet for that, so that it doesn't switch off to a different IP. Know if your internet supports IPv6. If it does, you can use it. I use IPv4 because my internet doesn't support IPv6 yet. And we don't have to go too much into that, don't worry about that. So now that we have our internet and network settings and all that stuff, you want to know the specs of your computer because, well, not only does your network have to do with the resolution, your computer does too. The easiest way to do that is we can actually close out of here. And actually, we can make that go away. Go to Task Manager, right-click on your Windows bar, go to Task Manager, you can go to your performance. And I have a Ryzen 7 4800H, which has 8 cores, 16 threads, and can go up to 4.2 gigahertz all-core boost. So it's a fast processor. It can handle pretty much anything I throw at it. Because of that, I don't have to worry about what resolution I stream at. However, if you have a slower computer, maybe you have 4 cores, you might want to cap it at about 720p, 60 FPS, and you definitely want 4 cores, 8 threads for that. If it's 4 cores, 4 threads, definitely want to keep it to 720p, 30 FPS. Depends on the CPU though too. It depends on how fast it is, you know, how much it can boost to, how new it is. All of that matters quite a bit. And so if you don't know what the specs are, it should list them here. Again, cores, logical processors. Logical processors are threads. And I can actually split this, change graph to logical processors. 16 of these guys. I can just overall utilization. Whatever. If you're a GPU, again, I'm not really talking about GPU streaming, just CPU streaming for the day. That's pretty much all you need to do. You can go to process. You can prioritize OBS. I find that doesn't make a difference for me. It might for you. When you're streaming, especially if it's slow, if you have a computer and you're gaming and both of those are trying to take up your CPU, launch OBS as an administrator. It will give priority to that. And again, if it doesn't say the cores or threads, you can just copy and paste the name of your processor into Google, and you can find those specs pretty quickly. It's the magic of the internet. So now that we have all that messed with, I'm going to talk about something that I find really helps for me to experiment with settings, and that is running an unlisted stream, meaning the only people that can see it is if you give them the direct link to the stream. And I recommend doing that if you actually want to truly test out a bunch of settings. Normally I just run the new settings in an unlisted stream with nobody watching, and then I'll make it public sometime along the line with the title test stream, and then sometimes I'll take it down and sometimes I won't. That's definitely something you want to do to test stream settings. You definitely don't just want to jump into a bunch of new stream settings and expect it to work, because I guarantee you'll probably run into an issue somewhere along the line. And the last thing is very important. Read your chat and interact with your chat. I recommend having some sort of second display, whether that be a phone or a tablet. For the longest time I had my gaming laptop and a tablet, and the tablet's what I used to read chat. Now I have a monitor, and then my gaming laptop is off to the right, so I just read chat on that, and I could just leave YouTube Studio open on that, and I can moderate from there. If your streams are popular, get moderators. Find people you trust to moderate the chat, because I guarantee you, no matter how good you think your fans are at behaving in the chat, somebody's gonna blow it eventually. Somebody's gonna say something they're not supposed to, or be mean, or just spam the chat. Whatever. That's what moderators are for. Definitely find somebody. I don't pay my moderators anything. Most people don't. But if you're a super popular streamer, and I'm assuming if you're a super popular streamer, you're not watching this video. But again, finding moderators is definitely a good idea. Other than that, there's not too much else. I know this was sort of scatterbrained, and not every verbal mistake I make is going to get edited out of the video. That's just how it's going to have to work. If you all want to see my stream layout, I can actually show you all real quick. So it's just my live streaming scene. It's this. It's very simple. I just have a blue rectangle. Then I have my webcam racing with fans. Very simple. It took me no time to set this up. We should probably go back to our video scene, because I'm not streaming right now. So again, if you see drop frames, which means there's lagging, definitely check that. I should have mentioned this as well. To do that, you should just go here, view, stats, and it'll tell you drop frames, all this good stuff. This is a very good tool that OBS has, so definitely check that out from time to time during the stream. If you have two monitors, make sure OBS opens into the one that's not being displayed. It just is more professional looking. Normally I keep my OBS out of sight, keep it over here in full screen mode, and then I can stop recording, I can pause recording, I can do all that good stuff. Sometimes I don't even bother to pause recording anyways, because I can just edit that out. But yeah, OBS is fairly fantastic. It's just amazing. I really like it. It does look complicated. It's not the most visually appealing program in the world, but it does work. Other than that, I think that is truly it for today's video. If you're of my Nitro type audience, there is a Nitro type cash giveaway going on. I will link that in the description. If you have any questions, comment down below. And if you don't think you can get that answered in the comments for whatever reason, DM me on Discord. I'll have that information in the description. Other than that, make sure to like and subscribe. We're getting really close to 300 subscribers. And that is it for today's video.